Welcome to Just Wanna Quilt, a research podcast coming out of Tulane University Law School, where we explore all kinds of things, stories about quilting, tools, field trips, maybe some famous quilters stop by, and, of course, a little bit of copyright thrown in just for fun. This is Elizabeth Townsend Guard, your host, and I'm a law professor at Tulane University Law School and a faculty fellow at the A.B. Friedman School of Business at Tulane. And I just want to quilt. So today we talk with Emily Breedlove. She is a young mom. She's way into Facebook groups, as am I. And we talk all about this, including the fact that there's a new group that spun off of Just Want to Quilt. So tell me your name and where you're calling from.
Emily Breedlove, and I'm in Bremen, Georgia.
Awesome. And tell me your first memory of someone sewing or quilting in your life.
Well, my mom never had a sewing machine, like a actual electronic device, but she always had one of those wooden sewing boxes that like you pull apart and it's got layers to stack stuff in, kind of like a tackle box.
Okay. I don't think I know those. Okay.
They're real fashioned. They're small, but like grandmas used to have them, I guess. But
Very
my mom
cool.
had, she got from her mom, and she had it beside her chair in our living room as long as I can remember. And she never sewed for pleasure, for fun, but she always would like mend stuff or put patches on our jeans or, things like that. So I always remember her being able to sew, but she never did it for fun.
Uh-huh.
And I cannot remember when she didn't do that. So my whole life. And then I have an aunt who is a very, very talented quilter, and she's an artist. When I was little, I just remember her being an artist. And as I got older, I was kind of aware of her making quilts and stuff. And she's made quilts for my kids and my sister's kids. And
that's really nice. Now, how did you get interested in quilting?
Well, I had my first baby 3 years ago, and I stopped working, and I've had a job since I was 13. So that was 16, 17 years of me working outside the home. So when I transitioned to being a stay-at-home mom, I was like, I need something to do that I can focus on, like a job, and just a hobby I could really get into.
Yeah.
And I want to make her something, I guess. It's...
And
I don't know the parent thing, but you want to make something.
You want to make something for your kid. It's interesting.
And
so many people start out that way, either their kid or their grandkid, and there's something like they're all smushy and cuddly, and you want to make them something smushy and cuddly. It's kind of weird.
Yes.
It's like a weird psychological, I don't know.
I want to give them something that they'll be able to keep forever. And so I had been on Pinterest forever, and you just pin all these projects and stuff, like when you're staying up late feeding your baby, that's what you're looking at. And so I kept seeing all these quilts, and I was like, I bet I can do that. So I did. I made a little tiny one. I didn't even make it to a size. I just bought like fat quarters from Joann's, and I just made as many half square triangles as I had fabric for, and made a quilt. It's like a mini quilt, I guess. I use it for a changing pad in my car now.
Very sweet. I like it. I love it. So now you and I are chatting about Facebook groups. So now tell me sort of so you and I both belong to a lot of, not the same ones, interestingly, but different. A lot of Facebook groups. What role does Facebook, and also we have Just Want to Quilt, the Facebook group, so that's how we know each other, right? It's through that. So tell me, what role do Facebook groups play in your life for quilting?
So for me, there's a guild local to me that's real close, like 10, 15 minutes away. But I have young kids, and I have 2 young kids, and my husband works outside the home, and I'm here all day. So our evenings and weekends are family time. That's not really, not that I couldn't get away and go to a guild if I didn't want to. I probably could, but I haven't been motivated enough.
It's hard, right? It has to be special enough to like take away from time and make the arrangements and deal with it. It has to be like really like worth it, right?
And if I was already in one, I probably would feel that way about it and would want to do it. But one reason I haven't taken that step and kind of gone to an in-person meeting is because I know I'll get attached and want to keep doing it. And I might struggle with it, especially as my kids get older and they do activities and stuff, and I'm scheduling.
It's just not for you right now.
Yes. And so the online community is like my quilting guild, I guess. I started on Instagram. I was not even aware of it, but Amy's creative side, is it Amy Smart maybe? I can't remember who does it, but Amy Smart is Diary of a Quilter. So it's Amy's creative side, I think, is the blog. And she runs IG Quilt Fest every year. And like 3 years ago, it's in the spring, like March or April. And she puts the prompt every day where it's like day 1, show your quilting space. Day 2, show your sewing, whatever. And Instagram shows you what you like. And so I had liked enough quilting posts 3 or 4 years ago. And they showed the hashtag for IG Quilt Fest. And so I started following people who I was seeing on there, and everybody participates. The Instagram community is huge.
Like huge, and they're way into it, right?
And they're so tight knit, though. Everybody knows everybody. Yeah. So like, you'd find somebody, and it would say all these other people that I follow already follow this person too. So I was like, okay, so they're probably a quilter too, and
So you found a community through that.
Yeah, and I made friends. Anybody who puts in their profile on Instagram that they are from like the Atlanta area, which is close to me, I'll usually follow them and probably send them a message and say, hey, I'm local to you if you're doing stuff in the area. And I've made several friends that way. Yeah. And kind of moved over to Facebook because Susie Quilts, I'm in the Susie Quilts pattern group. Okay. I love her patterns. I like her aesthetic. She has really great tutorials. So I joined her group because the people in there are doing the same thing I'm doing. They're doing the same patterns. And so if there's a question, it's probably already been answered. And you can find information and people who have a similar style that you might have. Right. So I moved to Facebook and joined her group, and then I found a couple more. And actually, I heard about Just Wanna Quilt from the Stitch TV show.
You did? Oh, that's great. I love it.
One of their episodes.
Right, because they're local. They're in Atlanta, right?
Yeah. Yeah. My aunt is a good friend of theirs. She's in the guild with them.
Oh, that's great.
So she knew them and told me about them, and I started watching their show, and they were interviewed on your podcast.
They were.
And so
that's right.
I heard they mentioned it, and so I started listening to you, and I got to your group, and it's just
I love it. That's so great. And so you're in Young and Millennial Quilters. Tell us a little bit about that group.
I think they started from Just Wanna Quilt.
They did?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure. Don't hold me to it, but I'm pretty sure that somebody in the Just Wanna Quilt group had posted something, or there was a discussion going on about how guilds tend to be older, retired ladies, which probably is true because you don't have kids at home, and it's just
the obligations are less. Right.
Right. And so there was a discussion about that, and somebody in there said, well, hey, I'm going to start a Facebook group for young people, and they posted it and Just Wanna Quilt. Anybody who's of this age, come over here to from starting. And so I went over there.
That's so great.
Small. Yeah, it is. And a lot of them are local. There's like 3 girls in there that I talk to regularly who are from Georgia, Atlanta area. Yeah. And so I joined them, which is all mostly people my own age. So we have young kids and things in common, and we all like to quilt. And so
that's so
we're doing a swap this month. We're planning.
That's so great. Will you let them know I'm super proud of them, and that we should sponsor them or be affiliated together, because that's so cool. And think about like how to, let me know what I can do to help with that group. That's so cool. I love it.
Thank you. I will. I appreciate it. We're trying to get together in person, and we've got a retreat planned for 2020. And so that's kind of, we're getting, I already talked to a girl who does t-shirts. Yeah. And she's going to maybe do some with that. And she owns a quilt shop, like an online shop. So she said she would sponsor us with some back orders or something.
Oh, that's so nice. So, where are you guys going to have your retreat?
I think Sweetwater, Tennessee is where they decided. Most of our members are on the East Coast. Yeah. And the girl who started the group is actually in maybe Oregon, Seattle. I can't remember. West Coast, though. But almost everybody else is on this coast. So it's going to be in Tennessee. She found a retreat space. And
that's so great.
Yeah.
I love it. So let me know more about it, and we should encourage. That's so great. I'm so excited. This is so cool. This has made my day. This is so great. I love it, right?
How the connections
work. And it's so funny because people, I really feel like, at least from my experience, because again, I was just doing this ridiculous research project. Someone told us we had to do a Facebook group, so we did. And like, it changed my whole life, I mean, I feel like I have this great community, and like they're around all the time. So like, I can just, sometimes you post something and then you come back a few hours later, or like you're up in the middle of the night, which I imagine happens to you all the time. And it's so lonely, but it isn't anymore. It's just like, just go on. There's a bunch of other people who are up, for whatever reason.
There's always somebody there talking about something.
It's so nice. I think about when I was a young mom and how isolating that was, and how much this changes that, that it is not that. I would have really liked this in 2003.
It can be very solitary.
Totally.
It's something you usually do by yourself. In general, I mean, unless you're at a retreat, most people do it in their home. And
right.
so
quilting. Yeah. And we just did a study recently, and everybody said they were lone quilters. That sometimes they get together, but it is a lone sport for most of the time. Yeah. So
but sharing, if you share what you do on the Facebook groups or Instagram, somebody says, "Hey, I love that," or like, "Beautiful," or "Here, try this," or whatever. So I
love it.
Yeah,
yes,
it's nice.
My latest thing, I'm trying to get more perfect because I'm not, I'm really not. So I keep sharing like, okay, this is how good it is now. Like, what am I still doing wrong? And it's been really nice,
Yeah,
it's really
my
nice.
Susie Quilts pattern group is like that. There's a lot of new quilters use her patterns because they're very straightforward usually, and a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them have like larger pieces.
Yeah,
so they're fast.
They're
finishes.
Fast is nice. Yeah. I like fast too. I'm like very pro fast.
A lot of people in her group will post questions and be like, "How do I do this?" Or like, "What's the best way?" Or like, "Is my stuff's not lining up? What did I do wrong?" And people are so nice. Quilters are not mean. They always will say,
really nice, right? Yeah.
Yes, they encourage. It's encouraging to know you're not by yourself and people are enjoying what you do.
It's so true. It's really true. All right, let's look at some of the other groups you're in. You are in a long arm group. Tell me about that.
So I don't actually own a long arm, but I do. I have a very small machine and I have a very small space. We live in our RV right now. We purchased property with a very old home on it and we're renovating.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot with little ones. And you're still quilting. That's really impressive.
Listen, you got to do something.
You got to, right?
At some time. But I don't have a big sewing space. Everything I have is really packed up because we're in the RV and I can use the space in our house when my husband's not in the room that I need to be in working on something. And so I don't like to quilt on my machine. I don't have space for it. And my machine, no, it is not fun or enjoyable. And I don't want to put myself through that. So I actually made friends with the lady that I go to church with who has a long arm at her house. And she does long arm services for people. And she was so sweet. And she said, well, if you want to come to my house and use the machine, she only charges me half because I do work. But she lets me use the machine and I buy her.
We're doing this at our house. This is exactly what we're doing. So we're trying to train people and give people so right now we're training people to train other people. And then we've got our space here, and then All Brands, which is the local shop, is letting us use their long arm. But it's kind of this long arm revolution kind of thing of like empowering people to be able to use it, and then finding spaces that are that you don't have to have space for it. There's a huge machine.
You need a big room. That's why there's no way I could have one where we are right now. Where my house isn't ready. We don't even live in our house, so I don't have a room for a long arm. And I don't know how to do it either. And we don't have a local quilt shop. As close as I am to Atlanta, the closest one to me is over an hour.
Yeah, there's no way. That's not.
I'm not going to drive. I could go to the shop and learn, but it's a long drive for me if I don't have a reason to be there.
Well, I think we're going to be starting like a subgroup about long arming. So I would love for you to be in that and chat. So we'll figure that out.
I'm a beginner.
Yeah, we all are beginners. I mean, I think I have the most experience, but I'm still way beginning. I mean, I think it's about practice. I think it's about, we're going to also try to sort of strategize. Joel is actually doing long arm. Joel is one of my friends and neighbors, and she's over today. What we're trying to do is really understand, we don't really find, there's lots of books out there how to learn and all of that, but we want kind of a sort of, you're at the long arm, what are you doing today to get better? Do you know what I mean? Like, And so that's what we're kind of thinking about. And so we're doing a ton of practice quilts and then charity quilts. And now Joel today is doing her first real quilt. So it's a bit, but again, thinking through those steps, free motion quilting versus automated quilting versus fancy things like couching. How do you master these so you feel like you're not messing your quilt up? At least from my perspective, it should be better.
Scary.
You know,
the first
it is scary.
I did it. My friend was like, "Here, you can just drive," and I was like, "Oh, I don't know."
Yeah.
I worked really hard on this quilt.
So are you doing free motion quilting with her? Is that what you're doing? So the thing that's cool about it, I don't know if you feel like this is what I've learned, and I'm very bad at it, is like you can just practice by doodling, because all it is like being good at doodling, and I'm very, very bad at doodling. So so my handwriting's crap, and so when it's on the machine, it looks just like that. So I like that part of it, that you can be in a meeting or sitting watching TV and just doodle, and you're practicing.
I have seen several people say that that's a good way to practice.
I think it's the only way to practice. I don't think I think being on the machine is good, but I think, and I also feel like, here's the other thing. I had a domestic machine for a very long time that I did free motion. That's where I learned. And I just had a practice thing, like a small bit, so it wasn't huge. And then when I transitioned to the long arm, it wasn't a big deal. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you've been doing that too, but just like little, and I loved all the people, the Angela Walters and the Leah Days and like all of those. There's, is it Lori Kennedy? Oh my gosh, she's my favorite. Yeah?
I used her book. My aunt actually got a signed copy, and then someone gifted a signed copy. So she gave me her second one.
That's
and that
nice.
was the first one I had about free motion quilting. And she's the one who said doodle doodle. So
doodle doodle, that's right.
And
her stuff is so cool. I mean, I just love all her little spiders and boats and stuff.
Oh, yeah, she has the cutest little designs.
And they're not hard, and she teaches you how to do it. That's what's so amazing, Like, and you can use them.
I'm still meandering. I do a lot of meandering. Loops and things like that.
You'll get there.
Names. I've done some names.
Names are good. Ones that go like square meandering. Have you tried that one yet? That's not bad. It's really not hard. That's my favorite thing. It looks fancy, but it's so not.
I'll have to try that. I haven't tried squares yet. I do
feathers suck. Feathers suck a lot. I hate feathers. Feathers are awful.
The girls on the Stitch TV show hate pebbling. That's what they always
pebbling?
say.
I like pebbling. Pebbling, it takes a lot of time.
It looks, but Pam and Lynn on it always say, once you start pebbling, you wish you hadn't.
I know, that is true. Because you're like, I've just now committed myself to a lot of pebbles.
Yeah. Yes,
what else do I like? I like loop-de-loops. Those are easy. I finally got the flowers that you make the circle and then you make the petal around. That's not terrible.
I have to try that.
Yeah, that's not terrible. They're not bad. They really aren't, because they can be weird and they don't look, you can't tell that they're weird. Do you know what I'm saying?
My problem is knowing how to get out of wherever I go. That's what I'm worried about. I'm like, if I start going one direction, how do I get back over here?
Well, it's like the tango. You just kind of tango around, right? You just kind of don't worry about it, or you stop and move it to another place.
Figure it out. Yeah.
I don't know.
If you watch YouTube videos, people, they just go so fast, and it's so amazing, and you're like, I can do that, and then I try.
Oh my gosh!
So mine doesn't look that way.
Totally. So early on, I made two mistakes. First, I did it in contrasting threads so you could see everything. That's bad. You got to have it matching, right?
Yeah.
And then I did, I watched an Angela Walters video, and then I did my version, and I put them together, and it looked nothing like. It was like, mine was all rickety and weird. I'm like, I was so depressed. Like,
she's an expert. You got to remember.
She is an expert.
She's been doing this a long time.
Right. And it tells you, where you aspire to, I guess. Right? Like, one day I will be able to do a beautiful feather, and it won't look weird.
Practice.
It's good.
The long arm groups are great. The one group I joined on Facebook, they require you to have a long arm, and they don't care what it is, but they ask you. They're like, "So what machine do you own?" So while I don't own my friend's machine, I have access.
You put that so you put that
pretty
down.
much whenever I want. Yeah. So I put that machine.
Yeah.
I do plan to get one. I love it. Yeah. I like drawing with the machine.
Yeah, it's really great.
And I think free motion is very similar on a domestic. It's just you move the fabric instead.
You move the fabric. That's right. Exactly. Totally.
Yeah. But
do you think that you'd ever create a business doing long arming when your kids get bigger?
Oh, I just did put up a Facebook page for selling things, quilts, and well, because I've had so many people ask me since I post a lot, like friends and local people, and it's the same thing. Everybody always asks when they learn you quilt, can you make me a t-shirt quilt?
Right.
And so I don't mind doing that. I actually like doing t-shirt quilts. They're easy and fast finishes usually.
Yeah.
And so I started off selling, I'm doing some of those for people, and I have a lot of friends with kids, and they all want their kids' clothes turned into memory quilts.
Nice.
So I'm doing a lot of that too.
Nice.
And so I could go to my friend's house twice a week if I wanted to and have something to do.
That's
so
great.
I've already, my husband and I are
even though you're getting charged for it, you could still make a little bit of money if you can cover your costs. It's not a big deal.
Her price, since I do the long arming and I just use her machine, I can afford to do that and still come out on top. And since I'm just starting out, I don't really mind that because
it's perfect. You don't have the expense or the space.
Yeah, I don't. And so we're planning that. Since I know that's what I want to do, and actually it worked out because we're still in the construction process in our home, we can look at it and be like, let's plan to have space for this.
That's really great.
In a few years it's coming, but in the meantime I'm learning and getting better, so
I love
it's good.
I love
the groups are great. There's some people, the one group I'm in, they won't even approve your post unless you put the machine you use, the thread, the pattern, and I mean, like, you have to give all the information.
And part of, I mean, we've had a lot. Having been on the administrative side, it's really interesting because there are bots out there, so they're getting smarter. So you have to ask more specific questions because the bots have learned to answer the questions, and so you got to be, and you don't want them in,
one step ahead every time.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
I'm sure why they do it, but it's good because then when you look at a picture somebody posts, they have all the thread they're recommending, and like I don't even know if I put it on there. I'm in a Juki specific long arm group, which because that's the machine that I think I want. Yeah. And so they're great because they'll be like, I'm having this trouble with my machine. Or I've had a couple people be like, y'all should go to this representative because he's great customer service. And
I love it. That's really cool. I love it. You're also part of the Atlanta Modern Quilt Guild. Tell me a little bit about that group.
I would love to join their guild. I like traditional quilts too, but I tend to have a modern aesthetic. I think I like modern fabrics. Yeah. I definitely prefer modern fabrics, and I love the modern quilt style and the movement, and there's so much enthusiasm, and it's beautiful work that people do. And so I probably would be more likely to join the Modern Quilt Guild than the traditional one, just because it does tend to have younger people. But the Atlanta one meets on Sunday mornings, and we do live in
I've been to it. I've been to it once. It was great. I loved it.
My church time,
I know it's church time. It is church time. It's weird, right? Yeah.
So I can't be a member, but I joined their group because they do post when they have like speakers and special events and stuff.
They're a nice group. They're really Atlanta area has so much stuff. It's remarkable. It's such a vibrant space. I think my theory about Atlanta is that you guys have it's like the perfect thing. You've got enough. You're like a healthy enough economy to support the quilting, but your prices for real estate aren't so astronomical that you can't, like, because you all have like different places with long arm spaces, and you've got a bunch of shops, and there's just a lot of interest, and it's like the right economics for quilting.
And it's very artsy. Atlanta
and it's very
has
artsy and so nice. I can't believe how nice every time. I love like that. Like top places to move because it's a good quilt world. That's one of them because you guys are just, so many people come from Atlanta. I'm just amazed at, and you guys are having QuiltCon in 2021, right?
I know. Oh, I already know. Yes. I haven't made it to QuiltCon yet between babies and other obligations. I have not been able to go, but I am planning to go to that one since it's local, and I'm excited. But they do like all kinds of conferences. They had what's the traveling one? Quilting Expo.
Yeah, USA. Right. There's so much going on. Yes.
They just had that in Atlanta earlier in the year, and
and Tara Miller started the Atlanta study group. The Atlanta, So
I'm in their. They don't have a group. I'm on their page though. I liked their page, so I get notifications from them. And I have one friend locally who's a quilter, and she's my age, and she loves vintage. Like she has so much vintage fabric, and she has a very new baby, so I'm not sure that it really is hard
Right.
for her to do with her schedule.
I get
but
it.
she would love the quilt study group.
Yeah,
And
well, it's just starting, so I think this is their first year of, so I imagine they'll be around because Tara's really, we just interviewed her and she's really obsessed with all of it. So
I'm excited to hear her interview.
Yeah.
I love seeing what they post on their page, and they're doing a conference, like
yes,
a
they
2-day.
are. Right, that's right. We have to post their thing so that people know about the conference.
I've seen
I'm like so behind.
They keep pushing it at me on Facebook because they know.
Right. So they're doing great. Well, this is so insanely cool. I'm so excited. I'm coming back to young and millennial quilters. We've had 2 groups now form from Just Want to Quilt, which makes me super happy. We have one that was super political one. We had some brouhaha on politics on our site, which is totally fine. I'm okay with that. Like, it's an experiment. As long as people stay nice, I'm okay with that. Right. But then they broke off because they wanted to be more radical. So I thought that was really interesting. And then your guys, the young and millennial quilters. So I feel like I have babies, I had Facebook group babies. It's really good. So we have to promote you.
You form these connections, and I don't have real life friends who quilt. I have my one friend who does, and aside from that, so the internet community, while you hear so much stuff about bullying and the toxic and comments and all this stuff on the internet, but on the other hand, it can be so good for
right?
community when you don't have the ability to go out.
Totally
Or like
agree.
I stay at home with a 3-year-old and an 18-month-old, and their conversation is not as advanced as mom would like all the time. So
it's great.
It's
and
nice.
I think that don't you feel like, I feel like I'm a better person because I can escape into this world where people understand, and then I can come back and deal with the kittens or the teenager or whatever the latest problem is, but I've had my little escape time, and that can be escaping while I'm waiting for somebody in, it's just like little stolen moments, which is really nice.
It's an outlet, and everybody needs one. And quilting is so creative. You just pour yourself into it, and I love it. I love the creative outlet. I have a science background. My job was in science. I have a science degree, so the details work for me. Like, I love the measuring and cutting and organizing part of it.
Yeah, very cool. Well, this has been so insanely awesome. Will you come back and keep us posted on how things are going? Because I think this is amazing.
I will keep you up to date on our retreat and our Young and Millennial Quilters group.
Awesome. See if they'll let me come and be part of it. I'm not young or millennial, but I would love to be part of your group because I'd love to sort of that sounds great. I'm like the mom. I'm like the mom. My mom can go, right? Because I'm like the mom of the group, right?
We would love to have you.
Awesome. I love it. Well, we are going to be starting to think about like how to sort of we'll keep calling it our quilt playground so that we can have a space on our website that sort of documents all the things that are happening, like the new Facebook groups and things like that. So help me remember about this because I'll forget, but I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I'll send you an email.
All right, fabulous.
We'll keep in touch.
All right, cool.
Love it.
Well, help us think about how to keep pushing it out too, because we want more listeners. So,
I applied to be on the
brand ambassador. Fabulous. We're going to be doing that in class this week. So,
good.
And then for those listening, we're creating a brand ambassador program to help us think through how to. Two things. First, to experience what a brand ambassador program is, because it's part of the experiment, and then also to see how we can use micro-influencers to push the podcast, because micro-influencing is like a big thing right now, so we're trying to experience that. So, great. I'm so excited that you applied. This is great. So, we're going to be working on that this week in class, so with the law school. So, awesome. Oh, I'm so glad you came. It's so great.
Me too. Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
Oh, this is great. All right, come back and play with us. It'll be great.
I will. Have a good rest of the day.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
So you've been listening to Just Want to Quilt, a research podcast coming out of Tulane University Law School. And I'm Elizabeth Townsend Gard. If you like this podcast, keep listening. Also, we have a Facebook group. Come join us. We talk about a lot of things. We also have an Instagram account. And of course, most importantly, I really hope you get a chance to quilt today.